Good morning.
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 Alrighty, wave hello to our YouTube audience. We're live on YouTube.
Yes.
Alrighty. Now I'll start recording our session. Okay, I think we're officially live. Good morning, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Hello, Mr. Benton. How are you? Did you get my email? I sent you the
I'll mute Andrew. Can everybody see my screen? All right. Welcome to 1 Million Cups Albuquerque. So most of you have been here before. You know our mission. We're in connections for all new and aspiring entrepreneurs around the U.S. I'm getting Zoom. Everything good? Wow, I'm getting lots of Zoom errors. Scary. Are you guys still there? Paul, give me a thumbs up if you are.
Still here.
Yeah, we're here. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Alex, how you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Let's see, did we lose Lisa? Oh, no, yeah. Well, you know, these things happen. It has been a little windy, I suppose.
I love the new magic. I'm just tired of learning all the new spells.
All righty, I think I'm back. Are you guys still there? Thank goodness I make all these co-hosts to help me manage what's going on. But I think when I start all the recording on my end and try to do the slideshow, definitely things get a little wonky. All right. So we are 1 Million Cups. We're the only 1 Million Cups in the Southwest region in all of New Mexico. And actually, that's a great thing because since COVID and since we've all gone via Zoom, we've actually been able to engage with entrepreneurs statewide. And as you'll learn today, even nationwide. So this gives the ability for all 1 Million Cups presenters to kind of pick a location and they can present from wherever they are, which is very cool. Our key pillars, these are presentations, not pictures. We want to hear a story about the entrepreneur and their journey. These are authentic connections, not a networking event. They are run for the community, by the community, and we are radically and intentionally inclusive. We would love for everybody to apply to present. It's very easy. You just have to have a for-profit business. If you'll apply, we'll follow up with you and assign you a coach, help you practice, get ready for your presentation. You can do that on the 1millioncups.com/Albuquerque page. Just click apply to present and fill in the form. Seems a little daunting, but it's really not that hard. And again, we're going to coach you and help you get ready for your presentation. This is our local organizing team. Today with me is Paul and Eric. The rest of our team is MIA. They had other commitments this morning. That includes Bobsy, Sonia, and Charles. We have amazing sponsors, Fat Pipe ABQ when we were in person. That's the co-working space that I run. We meet here in person. At some point, we'll do hybrid and we'll come back and allow some people to come in person, and then we'll try to stay live on Zoom for all the remote people. Loza and Loza IP attorneys, they generally buy our coffee. More Than Organized, Miriam buys our cream. Jason Collin is our official photographer. Even on Zoom, he manages to take some good snapshots. And then Noventum Custom Software is our donut sponsor. So that's it for me. Paul, I'm going to hand it over to you. Do we want to ask for some introductions? Do we see some new people?
Sure. So I'd like to ask new people to introduce themselves. So just give us a brief intro on who you are and what you do and what brings you to Million Cups and what we could do for you. So don't be shy. If you're an entrepreneur, you're used to stepping up onto an empty podium when the opportunity presents itself. If people don't jump in right away, I'm going to start calling on people. Carrie, you're smiling at that. Why don't I call on you?
Oh man, walked right into that one. So I'm Carrie. I own a HR consulting company, Living Room HR. This is actually my second Million Cups of Coffee, but super excited to be here. Loved the first one. Excited to learn more about what folks are up to.
Welcome.
And anybody else want to introduce themselves? A shy bunch. I guess the coffee hasn't kicked in. All right, so I'm just letting someone else in here. Okay, why don't we call that a win for introductions and hand it over to Eric to introduce our speaker.
I'm sorry. Hey, so yeah, we're really happy. So one of the things that's really good about, as Lisa was mentioning earlier, is that being online, being virtual, and maybe hybrid in the not too distant future, is we get to hear from entrepreneurs who are elsewhere around the country, and it's also an opportunity for folks who are here in New Mexico to get the word out about their companies in other places around the country too. So we're really happy to have Stephen Clift here with us this morning to share a little bit about his story and his company. Thanks, Stephen. I think you're still muted there, Stephen.
There we go. Good morning, and thank you everyone for allowing me to come to you virtually from Minneapolis today. So GoodCarts, I'm Steve Clift, and I'm the CEO, Chief Everything Officer of a startup called GoodCarts. We're actually incubated within a software development company called WearCorp. And the founder of GoodCarts is Chris Dykstra, who's also the founder of that software company. Sometimes I start off a little dramatic and I say the reason why GoodCarts exists is that the earth is on fire and we're all going to die, which is not really true, but certainly with climate change and a lot of concerns about the direction of the environment and sustainability and impact, there are gobs and gobs and gobs of new startup brands that are trying to sell products that are sustainably based, that have impact built into their mission. In fact, looking at real numbers, billions of transactions, in the consumable products area, 17% of the products are marketed that way, but accounts for over half of the growth of the last 5 years in CPG. And so one of the challenges is that you have all these companies now that are trying to get discovered. And so GoodCarts is a network of these brands, these impact-oriented brands that are trying to get discovered. And here are like 4 real-world examples. We have Bella with a vegan baking mix company. On the top left. Top right, we have Marcy. She's actually been involved in the fair trade space for like 25 years, even has her own line on QVC, but she launched a new brand, Yes and they're a member of our network. And then right below Marcy is Dean's Beans. It's actually a pretty well-known activist fair trade coffee brand from out east, in the east area. And then we have Soak It Up Cloths, another very much a startup where they do custom printing on these cloths from Sweden. They're kind of like reusable paper towels, that you can print on. And so these and another 76 other brands are all trying to break through with e-commerce. So in addition to that problem of brand discovery, is that the costs for these online stores have increasing digital ad costs. There are now 10 million advertisers on Facebook, and just a few years ago it was only 5 million. So you can imagine that the bidding is certainly increasing the cost to advertise to get new customers. And then you have obviously the power of Amazon and other marketplaces that want their 10, 15, 20% depending upon the product, which makes it harder if you have an impact-oriented brand where your margins are less because you're paying people better or you're using higher quality, sustainable ingredients. So the GoodCarts solution, if you will, is in our sort of approach is basically saying, how can we grow together for more profit and greater impact. And we start with cross promotion. So I'll give you a mini demo, if you will, of that next. If someone asks you, what was that GoodCarts thing all about? One way I describe it is it's kind of like a smart version of digital coupons on the back of the receipt. So all 80 stores in our network are all sharing traffic, and I'll show you how that works right now. So if you want a longer demo, go to goodcarts.co/demo, about a 5-minute recording of a demo. But imagine you're at an online store, you put a shirt in your cart, you just checked out, you've given the credit card to that store, and you push pay now. All right, so this is where GoodCarts starts. So we insert with our technology a little thank you banner in the receipts of our member stores. As thanks, we're offering you an exclusive discount of your choice. We have a super high click-through rate from this button, kind of eye-popping, if you will, and it allows people when they click through, they end up here. And so when we talk to stores, we say, hey, would you be interested in being part of a network where you have conscious consumers in a buying mood with their credit card still out? Would you like that chance to be discovered by them? So the customer would come in, and you would look through the coupons. You'd see one at a time on mobile, and obviously you can see lots on desktop. And you pick one, you click on it, you can see a little more information, hear more about their impact mission, and then you would claim it with an email address and then go off and make the purchase. GoodCarts is that simple. It's just that thin little experience post checkout to send you off to the next store. Just kind of conceptually, it's about recycling the traffic from the receipt pages, which people normally just close. And obviously our goal is to grow this network out. When I talk to prospective stores, it's free to join. The coupon views are free. And then with COVID, our founder, Chris Dykstra, and I agreed that, we should drop our commissions during COVID to help our member stores. And then he had an epiphany. He basically thought, you know what, let's just scratch commissions for the impact space. Now, obviously, it's only 5% of the retail space that fits kind of in this category. So there's certainly are opportunities for fees and commissions beyond that. And the reason I'm here today, in part, is because we scrapped that. We're actually looking for feedback that will help us prioritize some of our efforts as we rebuild a different revenue model. So the Shopify app, we came out with that in September. That was kind of our public launch. We had an alpha and a beta before that, but it makes it super easy if you're in Shopify just to add the app, create your coupon, and in a few minutes, you can be part of our network. And just to finish up, so when we added the app, it kind of helped us rocket from 20 stores to now we're at 80 last fall, and now 80. It's a big increase in the coupons. We've had larger stores that have been joining us. Naturepedic just joined us, which is a real well-known organic mattress company. And we redesigned our discounts last year, bigger images, and have actually up to 8% now redemptions from the new year. Did a whole bunch of content marketing. So did a big pivot from cold marketing to content marketing. And then on revenue, I mentioned one of the two ideas we have on the shelf. I'll just say we do have ideas that we're exploring. One is that we have the attention of the stores. So how might we gear them and direct them to other e-commerce apps that have a fee where there's a commission involved for us? And in the Shopify ecology, if you get a store to switch to Shopify, you can get 20% of their monthly fee indefinitely. So they set a pretty high bar. And so there are a lot of revenue sharing pieces there. And then finally, I'll mention that we do have plans for other affinity networks, a Black-owned network, a women-owned network, Made in USA network. Those may or may not have different fee structures. So finally, I know you guys kind of you end with this, but I just put it out on a slide. How can you help? We're definitely interested in any introductions to brands that you think that are purpose-driven that should join us, or networks of brands. We're exploring revenue opportunities and really looking for your intelligence on that. We're plotting to spin GoodCarts out as its own standalone B Corp. And so we want to bake our impact into our DNA, if you will, of the company. And we're looking for folks that have been on that journey before who can guide us or advise us. And then finally, if you know folks that have basically invested in impact-oriented consumer product companies, we're trying to find sort of the investors to sort of share us with their investees. So if you have thoughts about that, those are sort of some of our big asks. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you. Really appreciate it. Let's see. Applause for Stephen, and we're going to take any questions. It's let's see. Looking through the chat, if you'll go ahead and put your questions or raise your hand, we'll go ahead and get you. I don't know. We'll get you on stage and we'll have you ask your question. I think so. One of the things that I was curious about is what do you think is like? I know you're kind of changing your model a little bit. What's the biggest challenge you feel like you're facing right now?
So I think the biggest challenge for us is we got to 100 stores, or almost 100 stores. We'll be there soon. We're going to launch an 100 stores, 100 impact stories campaign, if you will. But the question is like, how much work it took to get to 100? Can that be the same amount of work as it takes to get to 1,000? Right. So basically, how do we reduce our customer acquisition costs to get stores to know about us and to join our network? That's, I would say, our number one challenge this month or this year.
Sounds good. We have Honix, and then we'll have John after that.
Don't forget Clifton, he raised his hand.
I
want to ask you, I am insurance agent and I specialize in helping people getting their retirement tax free, but I wanted to see how it works with your model. Is possible that I can, with that network, to bring my work even further away with your networks?
So, I mean, one of the key things is that we see the opportunity for different kinds of affinity networks. Services are a little more complicated than people who give a receipt when they buy something. And so that's sort of a note. If you have a receipt and you just bought something, so if it was, say it was a massage parlor or something that had massages and had gift cards, that would work, right? Or a restaurant that had gift cards, you know, or a theater. But for the most part right now, it's focused on consumer product companies.
All right, I think we had Clifton up next. Can't hear you, Clifton.
Is that better? Just curious.
Oh, we turned off.
Pardon?
Your audio stopped for a moment, so if you could repeat the question.
You bet. How do you overcome the retailers' unwillingness to possibly lose revenue by directing them to GoodCarts?
Yeah, so, you know, there is a leap of faith to say that if I share my traffic with other sort of conscious consumer-oriented brands, will they instead just like that brand better and never come back to me? And, you know, we've talked to some stores, they said things was like, well, you know, the reality is that they shop from us every 2-3 months. They'll come back to us, you know, because we have a relationship with them, and it's not like they call it the share of wallet, right? So people who are more, you know, shopping their values, if you will, what percentage of their wallet are they really shopping their values? Maybe 10%, I don't know, but not their whole wallet. And so if they can discover new brands, there's always an opportunity to expand that. We do have a feature called the block list, which is, say you're a coffee brand and you really don't want to send your customers to direct competitors, you just ping the brands that you don't want to share traffic with. And down the road, we're going to make that a category-based thing. So imagine 1,000 stores on our network or 10,000 stores. You know, I'm coffee, therefore don't share it with beverages, or don't share it just with coffee, or women's clothes. And so we see that as vital, really, because ultimately you're right. You can't, as long as if you gain customers, you'll see them come through in real numbers over time. But to actually just take that risk, you definitely don't want to be supporting your direct competitor.
Sounds good. That was interesting. Let's see. I think we've got John Mertz up next.
Hi. Yeah. Thanks. So actually, 2 questions. I thought of one after I typed the first. So how do you validate that the businesses in the network are sustainable businesses? And then secondly, kind of related to scaling, I guess, are you working with B Labs because they have the B economy marketplace? So that seems like it'd be a natural fit for what you're trying to accomplish as well.
Yeah. So we have a whole set of criteria, but and we have a page where we describe it. But we're basically telling stories. If you don't know, apply, and then we'll work with you. But so you have fair trade. You have folks that are basically sustainability oriented mission marketing, sustainable fashion, ethical fashion, and they're basically making a claim that they care about that, right? And so we look for some evidence of that. You have social enterprises, which are really dynamic, or many of them are nonprofit, but Women's Bean Project is out there, and they're actually on the shelves of like Whole Foods in the Rocky Mountain region. And it's women who are coming out of, incarceration or getting job training, and they work for a nonprofit, but they're selling products. So we love those types of brands. B Corps, obviously, they're right in, and percent of charity. I prefer it if it's a percent of each sale rather than just your profits, because then that's just hypothetical. Because you may never have a profit, and then you're just pitching value, but you're really not showing it early stages. And buy one, give one models as well. And so there's a whole range. Obviously, if it's sustainable and impact together, that's great. But we, if you just organic products is enough for us as well.
Sounds good. I think we had, it was Michael and then Alan.
Hey, good morning. So I'm just not clear on how the working works. I mean, like how the coupon gets inserted or appears for the user, where that happens, how does that all work? I mean, it doesn't work when I go to Amazon. It's just like, and then, yeah, could you explain that part of the process from the business and the maybe the technology perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and before we had the Shopify app, we still do this for other e-commerce platforms. We have a piece of JavaScript called the network code. And basically this little piece of 10 lines of code.
So first you're saying that the tool only works on Shopify?
No, so we work on any e-commerce platform that basically can use affiliate marketing, meaning they have the ability to paste a little bit of code into the receipt. So it doesn't work on Etsy or Amazon. It would work on basically where you have your own domain name.
Okay.
It's just 10 times easier now in Shopify because the technology step is hidden to you. You just push add the app and it just does it automatically. Wherein if you're on WooCommerce or Squarespace or other tools, you sign up, we send you an integration guide, and it'll take you through 3 or 4 steps where you have to work your way through in order to edit your receipt, basically the template for the receipt. You put in this little piece of code. That piece of code is key because it inserts the thank you banner on the receipt each time, but it also looks for promo codes or an email address of someone who claimed a coupon in the past in order to track whether to claim it as a redemption. So that piece of code does both sides. It doesn't take any resources. It doesn't really slow down your site at all, which is important to stores. They don't want it to bog down. So that's how it works.
And we had Alan up next.
So just to frame this, I'm pretty old school, and that's mostly because I'm old. The typical retail model is you buy it for 50 cents, you mark it up 100%, you sell it for $1. That gives you a 50% gross profit, which results somewhere around a 20% net profit if you're doing well. And that's in a typical brick and mortar store. So when you use discounts, you have to be judicious about them because the discount is used to entice a first-time buyer, and you hope that they are a return and regular buyer, but at regular prices. So what I'm seeing, and so you can disabuse me of what I'm seeing, is the danger of enticing buyers who come in for the discounts. Because if you just come in for the discount, you've given away your profit on every sale. And if you're getting just price shoppers, if you eliminate the discount, you eliminate the shopper. So I'm wondering what is your longer term plan to allow your member companies to sell profitably on your site?
So you may call it old school, but the question, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what generation you're in. Ultimately, you can't sell at a loss indefinitely, right? You have to get called the lifetime value, right? You know, if you get a new customer, even if you sell at cost for the first time, that's a great deal, actually. A lot of the stores with deeper pockets will sell at a loss and know enough to figure out how they'll get that back. But a lot of the smaller brands don't have that luxury, right? I mean, but what they do want is that opportunity to create a repeat customer. So one thing we do just technologically, you know, with the Shopify version of it anyway, the default is that the coupon may only be used once per email address, essentially, you know, for a first-time customer. And number two, what stores like about us is that we're not a marketplace, meaning we are not in the middle between the customer and the store. We're not trying to take a cut each time. Even, you know, obviously we dropped our commissions, but we used to have commissions, and the idea is that we took our commission once, and then they were your direct customer, and so that is actually golden for the stores to say, okay, I have direct access to that person's email, a direct relationship. You know, obviously some brands don't join us where they say, you know, we're a premium brand, we never do discounting. We do have some folks that join us that first of all, the impact brands loved it when we dropped the commissions, because it was like 15 to 18% commission on top of their discount, and you did the math just then. So basically, they are at cost, basically, or even some might even dip below cost, or you know, take a customer at a loss with their margins. And so by that still they're cautious about how much do they cut, do percentage wise. So we have some that do discounts only for clearance items. They basically limit it to a certain collection of items. We have some that don't do discounts anywhere else, because we acquire an email address to type it in, so our discounts are not in Google easily. Right? Someone could, in theory, cut and paste it and publish it somewhere. I'm sure it'll happen eventually. But the key there is that they can kind of take a risk with us, because it is that niche. I often I'll say to folks, the stores, I'll say, hey, would you like to get in front of conscious consumers in a buying mood with their credit cards still out, right? So it's a very high qualified traffic that you might want to be exposed to, versus having like your discounts just being advertised directly and very accessible. Where you're exactly right, where people are like, hey, I saw a promo code in the sale. I gotta go find it now as I check out, and we're trying to avoid that scenario with our model as well.
I just have a follow-up thought. And I appreciate the fact that you don't charge commission, but that means you don't make any revenue on that particular service. Have you thought about a very small commission, like 0.5% or 1%, which it just on the margin, because you're not, it's analogous to being a broker. A broker can sell at a very low margin because they never touch the product. And so it's an ongoing revenue stream. And particularly as you ramp up to 1,000 stores or beyond, 0.5% is not onerous. It's a selling point, but it does provide you with an income stream that can you can at least pay for some of your overhead, if not all of your overhead, eventually. But just a thought for you.
Yeah, no, so I have, obviously when I joined GoodCarts about 3 years ago, actually, it was kind of on the shelf. They had trouble with some of the recruiting initially, but it just kept working, and there were commissions going, and I thought, oh my God, as this network grows, it pays for itself. So to basically take commissions off the table, the key thing in my process internally, I said, well, as long as that's just for the impact retailers, right? And there's certainly opportunities there, but the other 95% of commerce, let's make sure that we can have our commissions or our fees. And we already are talking about, right now we have like 10 different ideas that we're shuffling around and saying, okay, would a store pay for this? So stores ask us for email addresses all the time. And people have to put an email address in order to claim a coupon. We don't give that email right to the store. The store has to convert them, right? So we could add a checkbox, for example, to say, yes, sign me up for the newsletter for that store. Now, maybe only 10% of people would actually leave that checkbox checked or would opt in to check it. But that has an opportunity there. Right now, people can do A/B tests. They can run multiple discounts to figure out which one, like what image works better. And so we thought about adding a dashboard of analytics where, hey, here, by $10 a month or whatever it is, you can end up discovering how to make it work better. We've invested in the tech, so obviously it makes sense for us to charge more for that. The other thing is traffic partners. So we've been talking to some media sites, nonprofits, donation sites. And so imagine the scenario where you just signed up for a newsletter from an online newspaper. They might then offer you a discount as a thank you. In that case, the media site would say their commission is 10% and 5% goes to GoodCarts, 5% goes to the media site, and the stores would opt into these extra traffic circles. What I like about commissions I like results-based models. So basically, if it works for you, it costs something. And we did get feedback that obviously it was Naturepedic just joined us, right? So in that scenario, even though we didn't put commissions back, but in that case, but if you'd have to cap it, right? It wouldn't be 10% and suddenly we get $100 for a new customer. They probably would never join. So as we grow, there certainly will be different parameters, but results-based, we need it, and thank you for the feedback.
Let's see, it looks like we've got a suggestion and a last question from the floor. I think, Stephen, are you available to join us in one of the breakout rooms following presentations and all that?
Absolutely, I'm in no hurry. Awesome. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we'll go to Paul and then Hanix, and then it'll be back to me.
So, Stephen, thank you very much. This is very interesting. And since you're visiting New Mexico virtually, I'd like to suggest a small network that you might want to look into. New Mexico True is a certification that products get if like 90% of the stuff is from New Mexico, it's made in New Mexico, and the company's based in New Mexico. So the New Mexico Department of Tourism sponsors this. And when I have shopped for gifts, for people from out of state, and I want to say something about where I live, I always go there and see, what can I buy that says New Mexico? And those businesses are very common as the people are looking for gifts that say New Mexico. So I'd encourage you to look into that.
They would be an ideal partner. So like talking to anyone who has trusted, established relationships with stores. And it could be like we're talking to like Better Business Bureau for Good is an initiative out of I think it's out of Boulder. That's where they're piloting it. But they already know people who sell things, right? And so the ability to bring in 20 stores in bulk, that's gold to us. If they wanted to do it as a fundraiser where there was like pricing involved and it helps generate revenue for the organization, that would be possible. Or if they just want to do it because it's like government activity and they've networked people around this or whatever the tourism department, love an introduction to them.
So I put that in the chat for you so you can
Excellent.
Go to the site.
Yeah.
Cool deal. Let's see, and then Hanix, you're up.
Okay, thank you very much. I was wondering if when you grow thousands of vendors in your site, how a vendor can grow in the rankings, like Google stuff, and then they are more visible among the other stores, and then maybe same categories, other categories. I'm sorry, my cat.
Yeah, so that's a really insightful question because how does this scale? Obviously we went from like having 20 coupons to scan through to suddenly now it's like 80. Eventually we're not going to obviously show all the discounts, and so we're working on some coupon matching type technology to try to put the right coupons, but also filters. So the ability to eventually say, show me discounts near me would be a great one, that buy local aspect of sustainability. And then also the ability to, filter by categories or just do searches. We do know that no matter what, we have to show the newest brands need to get some profile because otherwise they won't get momentum. But we also have to balance that with like Dean's Beans is a good provider of traffic. The top 3 providers the day before, their coupons always show up in the top 8. Eventually the top 5 will be in the top 10 or whatever. Over time there has to be sort of that balance. But ultimately that discovery piece and building in some automation, some artificial intelligence, if you will, to sort of do that better and better, more automatically based on patterns is a goal of ours. And then mentioned New Mexico first. It may be that there are other affinity networks that people might opt into that might eventually have overlapping networks. So you might be part of the Shop for Good network, but also Made in USA or Black owned or whatever it might be as a way to, basically figure out how to get more traffic to the right places.
Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, we've got the most important question of this week and every week, which is, I hope you're prepared, red or green? Did they give you the red or green chili question?
No, this is a new one. Red or green? I'm a green chili person.
Oh, fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
in that case, I love you and your business even more. The last question we ask everyone is, what is it that we as a community can do to help you and your business grow? Like something we can do today, something we can do this week.
So like that reference to the New Mexico True, if you do know of brands, basically if they say they're on Etsy, now they're on Shopify, as long as they have their own domain name and they're sustainable products or there's impact sort of oriented, just introduce us. Warm introductions, we'd love them. And our goal right now is get to 100 stores as fast as we can so we can launch our 100 stores, 100 impact stories campaign. And I'd love to have some New Mexico companies in that mix.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Stephen. Again, Stephen will be with us. We typically have a couple rooms. I think if there's interest, at least I might also do like a connections room. If folks are interested in making some additional connections, I could head that one up as well. But I'm going to get into events now. And let's see, I'm going to throw some stuff in the chat. I'm going to hit some highlights because there are a lot of different events and activities that are taking place. Let's see. So stuff that I was going to mention are the New Mexico Out Business Alliance has its happy hour. That's tonight, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. We always talk about Taza. That's tomorrow morning. Santa Fe Innovates with John Mertz. They've got a Birds and Bees of Branding session. That's tomorrow around lunchtime. And that's in the chat with Root and River co-founders. But yeah, it's basically looking at how do you refresh, how do you rethink your branding and marketing for what's going on right now, along with a nice self-assessment and some other aspects of a workshop. Adam's Friday Flow. Something I wanted to highlight next week, because it's the third Thursday of each month, is Activate New Mexico has their startup office hours. That's the third Thursdays from 1 to 3 p.m. Let's see, throw some more stuff in the chat here. Oh, shoot. I think I truncated truncated an item, but I'll go through some of those. So one of the things that's coming up is AIGA, which has been, well, a lot of the different community groups have been sort of put off their mark or off their the regular level of activity over the past year. So one of the things that AIGA, which is the graphic design community, is doing is they're doing a community meeting that's coming up on April 20th. In addition to that, some other things that I will share are that Techstars, a couple of us here in New Mexico are helping Techstars, kind of in line with the presentation we heard earlier, are helping Techstars with doing their startup weekend focused on sustainability. And that's the weekend of 23rd through the 25th. The one thing I wanted to pull up John Mertz for a minute or two. Santa Fe Innovates, they've got an ideation program that starts actually next Monday. Taking applications right now, so it's final days for that. John, I was wondering if you could tell us just a little bit about what that program looks like.
Sure, thanks, Eric. Yeah, it's a 5-week program, so we're just focused on entrepreneurs who have maybe been kicking around an idea for a while but haven't moved it forward. So using a lot of the lean canvas principles, we'll be taking them through, again, a 5-week program to test, iterate, and hopefully advance their idea. At the end, we really want to achieve, I guess, for the entrepreneurs is that they really get clarity around their problem solution fit, and they also have a reasonable understanding of how they can make money, what their business model is to support that business. And then from our program, they could go into any acceleration program. Many are virtual right now, just as we are. But we want to have them get a good solid start, a good foundation to solidify their idea before entering into an acceleration program.
Yeah.
So we've got, the good news is we've definitely gotten strong interest from entrepreneurs. So we're putting together a really interesting cohort of green energy and tech and art and a good mix, and actually from around New Mexico too. So not just Santa Fe, given the virtual element. So, and then maybe just the final quick thing, if you are interested in mentoring, since we do have quite a few that are have signed up for the program. We've got a good mentoring community, but we will definitely need some more to help out through the process. So if you have any questions, let me know. The details are on our website as well.
Big thanks. Appreciate it, John. Let's see. I think the next thing that's coming up is breakout rooms. So if you've got, and I kind of threw the chat all out of whack with a lot of content and stuff. So if you're interested in a particular room, you might do us a favor and just note which room you're going into. If you've got the latest version of Zoom, you can actually choose one yourself. But thanks for everyone for showing up today, and look forward to talking to some folks in the breakout room.
Before I turn off or open up the rooms, and since I'm doing attendance today, can I have a show of hands for how many of you feel like you're an entrepreneur? Who's here as an entrepreneur? Just raise your hand and just need to get a percentage. All right. And those of you I can't see, maybe you could turn on your hand raise. Videos are always great when you turn on your videos here, because we love to match the name to the actual face. It's lovely to be able to see you in person, so we really appreciate when you turn on your video. All righty, I'm going to stop